Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video I want to talk about the subject of masturbation. Now if you see my other videos, there's videos is self-love masturbation, and on that video I had a comment this week, a few comments from Cool Beans, yeah, great name. And Cool Beans wanted to know, I'm going to read it from my phone because he asked me a few questions. Yeah? So this is what I'm going to talk about in this video. He asked, where is it? Alright, it's I'd love to get some more wisdom on masturbation from you. Could you please share what you have learned over 7 years and some important insights, conclusions you've come to, and realizations you've made? Yeah, so that's what I want to know. So, like I said, for me, it's been maybe over 7 years. Can't tell you the exact last time, but I know it was some. Even since I was a young kid, when it first started happening, yeah, not, for the first times, if I was to really go back. Wasn't saying I was overly, I knew what I was doing and it felt good, and you do it sneakily. It's something that you hid, and somehow you just innately know that you're not meant to do it in front of other people, and people shouldn't know what you're doing. There was some form of like shame and guilt from doing it, even when I was a child. And then during my teenage years, I was like, oh, by the time I'm an adult, and when I say adult, I was like, when you get into your 20s, 25, 30, yeah, and you've fallen in love and you've got a wife and all these type of things. I was like, you wouldn't be doing it. You must just grow out of it. Yeah? So as I got into my 20s, yeah, I even got married. Yeah, I was in love. I had a beautiful wife that I loved, and we had them things going on. So it wasn't like I wasn't getting satisfaction from like sexual desires, but it continued. Yeah, and I continued to do it. And I didn't want to do it. That's the funny thing. I don't know if you're doing it and you're here because you're like curious about it and you're wondering for yourself. And I'm not just talking to you, Cool Beans. I'm talking to anyone listening here who comes across it. It's like, is there something within you that's like, just doesn't want to do it? Yeah, is that why you're here? Because for me, it was always like, I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it. And then that was the realization. Once you really get to that, you go, okay, that's addiction. Yeah, no pun intended. But yeah, you're addicted. So like, again, what's an addiction? An addiction is something that, to me, when you stop doing it, some form of discomfort arises until you do it again. So whether that's alcohol, drugs, you become unstable and uncomfortable as soon as you go a certain amount of time without it. And then you bring yourself back to it. And for me, having depression and insomnia and chaos in my external life, that was like a real quick way to feel not only distraction, immense amount of distraction while you're doing that, because you're tracked in and focused on one thing, and where focus goes, energy flows. So yeah, so you put on some videos and you start doing your business, and you're focused and you're not thinking about something terrible that just happened. It's like it clears your slate. Yeah, so that would happen, and that I found beneficial, like, because I was like, I just can't deal with everything going on in my life, so this will tune me out for a bit. So I'll do it for that reason. And having insomnia, like doing that before bed, I was like, I can't sleep until I've done that. Like sleep was bad. I was like, if that at least feels good and can tire myself out a little. So they were like the reasons I look back and think, why was I doing it? And it was like, one was distraction from life, from pain, suffering, problems that weren't getting solved, discomfort internally. Yeah, and also to try and tire myself out physically, to be drained. Again, no pun intended. Yeah, so that was it. But I always wanted to stop because when I was in a relationship, I felt an immense amount of guilt. It's like you had to hide it, and you didn't feel like it wasn't the other person that wasn't worth it, and they weren't enough. But you could see how it could easily feel that way. I could see how I would feel that way if it was the other way around. So it's like you just don't want to do it. And when I think about it, like what made me change is after that relationship ended, and I fell in love with someone else. And it was during that period in between that I was like, oh, now I can do it because I'm single. I don't have a significant other so it's okay, but I still didn't want to do it. There was still something about it. And I was like, it's not productive. It takes time. How much time you start to think about how much time you're doing it, how long you spend doing it, and adding up that time in a week, in a month, in a year. And for me, I'm always ambitious. I'm like, that's so much time off this ambition. So if I've got a direction, I want to go this way, that's like leading me that way. Yeah, so I was like, I need to do less. And then when I got with someone else, it was like, right, this relationship, I'm going to try not to do it even more so. Yeah, life's still chaotic. I still got that pain going on. I still got stress in my life. And then my partner that I fell in love with got seriously ill. If you've listened to my other content, I ended up becoming her full-time carer as long as loads of other things. But I'd say the change in defining point for me, and I've noticed this in all addictions, is when you have a new perspective on life itself. You have a different perspective on your own value, your worth, and your purpose. Feeling that you have a purpose here. That it's not just you're here and insignificant. You are significant. You have value and uniqueness. And your purpose is actually some form of service to bring harmony and balance to something. Yeah. So and the more you clarify that, and I drop in now if you haven't checked out my newest book, yeah, The Self. Who am I? That's all about gaining clarity on your identity and your purpose. And you can go get that on Amazon. I wonder if I can put a link here. Yeah, you can buy it as a paperback, or you can buy it for Kindle. It's cheaper if you get it on Kindle, and it's completely free if you go here, lukegreenheart.com/free. You can have it as a free PDF. Yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback on it and see if it gives you some more clarity and direction to your purpose. But having that belief system that you have a purpose, yeah, and you have direction and you have clarity of yourself, for me, that's a foundation for breaking any addiction. Yeah, some people it comes from religious faith, but you can have faith without religion. Faith, but there's life, and there's a bigger part of that life that you're here for and a part of. Drop a comment. Would you like me to talk about faith and more about that? You can just type faith on my channel. You'll find my videos on it. Type Lukegreenheart faith. Yeah, and I talk about that. I'm a man of faith and I have no religion. And that doesn't mean I'm clueless about the functions of life. So the more I see life, the more I'm aware to the abundance of life and its flow and its function and its complexity, yeah, the more I'm even more full of faith. Because I can see there's a lot going on. I'll put it really simply for you. Like, if you look at your body, you eat, say, an apple. To you, it looks like one apple. Yet that apple is made up of a multitude of vitamins, minerals, fiber, all these different substances. Yeah, it's not one thing. It's made up of loads of things. Yet your body already knows that. You eat that, your body knows what's waste, what it can use. It knows how to get rid of them. Yeah, and it knows how to build new cells from them. And one cell in your body knows as much as your whole brain knows in terms of intelligence. You know, that's why they take one cell to get your DNA off, just like one little thing. It has all that information. Like, your body is unbelievably complex in its intelligence and worth and value. Yeah, and it all has a function, and that's you doing that function. And when you look at the external and you look at the earth itself, very, very similar. Is that a word? Similar? I can't say it if it is a word. But you can see how the whole earth and system is also working. It has, and I put it this way, it all generates, it all has an order, and it all decays. What are the initial spell of that? Yeah, but it all goes through, it's all in process, it's all in motion, nothing is stagnant. It's all flowing, just like you are. Yeah, and having faith that life's happening for you, not to you. But building these pillars and it gets stronger and stronger, you realize that there's more value and worth to yourself, that you don't want to waste yourself, you don't want to abuse yourself. You want to optimize your time, especially when you have direction and purpose, clarity in yourself. You want optimum productivity. You want optimum feelings in that productivity. You want to feel good. You want to feel joy. You don't want to feel all the things that make you feel less productive. Yeah, when you have anxiety, depression, and all these things, they slow you down in your productivity. Yeah, they ruin relationships. They make friction in life. So you start getting yourself on a strong path of self-development, and all you want to do is grow and expand, realizing the potential you have, the worth you have, and how great you are. Yeah, and that just keeps developing and developing. So when you're doing that and you're growing, you gain a sense of self-worth where the forms of masturbation identify as forms of abuse towards your purpose, abuse towards the body, abuse towards the mind. Yeah, and you don't want to abuse yourself. So it becomes easier and easier, and the longer you go without, the easier it gets. At the beginning, it's hard. And again, no pun intended, all the words here. But it's hard. It's really hard. It takes strength, but that strength is growing. That pain is growing pains. I also remember, like, you really notice when you stop. You become hyper aware to how many things stimulate you. Yeah, and it makes you realize about advertisements, videos, media, clothing, things. You really start to be aware how many things can stimulate you. And I'll use an example of, like, if you quit drinking alcohol, and you might need to go for a part where you stop going out with your friends who are all drinking. So in the beginning period, there might be some things that you have to take yourself away from because they're overstimulating your desires and your habits, and you will end up going back on yourself and doing it again. And then you'll get in regret and guilt, and you'll be in this cycle. But that doesn't mean you have to abstain for them forever, because you build strength and you build tolerance and awareness that you can walk into anything, you can see anything, and you have that inner balance, that inner control. And it's like control with no control. You don't have to hold on to it anymore. At the beginning, it's like get your hands tight on the handlebars or you're going to fly off the road. In time, you get your hands off the handlebars and just gliding along, and it's a free ride. And it's much easier, more blissful, more joyful, and you have your energy flows, your creativity flows. But most of you just have much more time. Time to be creative, less distractions, better relationships. Then you've got to remember that stuff, especially if you're a male, the stuff that comes out of you requires a lot of building blocks. It's complex stuff, it builds life. So if you're going to throw all your building blocks away all the time, you just got to keep replenishing them building blocks. That's going to take away from replenishing cells. You know, activity, energy will be prioritized towards that to sustain the species. So it's always going to prioritize making sure that's as sustainable as possible. So if you're wasting it all the time, you're going to just slow yourself down in every other direction. Yeah, and if you're, it's the same for male and female in the next part, but if you're a female, like that thing of wasting yourself isn't there so much, but it's your pleasure stimulation on like getting satisfaction in life. You won't feel balanced and satisfied from things that you should do because you're sort of tilting the balance on your hormones, because you get an immense amount of release within the body to say job well done, because your body thinks you've mated successfully. Yeah, when you have a orgasm and a full one, your body thinks you've done the right job. Yeah, so you get a release of all the hormones that tell you well done, good job. Yeah, so you feel really satisfied with yourself. So people that grind and have, like, say if you've got really long ambitions and you don't get daily satisfaction from the small things, this is what habit will build in you. You'll be doing it all the time. You won't be able to get productive unless you do it, especially for females. You'll be like, I need to do it now just to be productive. Yeah, just to maintain some form of stability within yourself. So again, it's taking yourself away from it to see if you're addicted. Quit for a week. If you're doing it daily, quit for a week. How addicted are you? If you do it once a week, quit for a month. How addicted are you? Yeah, and just see. If you're right at the beginning and you're doing it 5 times a day, male or female, maybe just start with once a day. Yeah, then the next week, once every other day. Then the next week, twice a week. Then the next week, once a week. Yeah, then the next week, once every other week. Slowly break away, because when you take something so strong, so powerful, and how it works within you, yeah, it's gonna crash. You're gonna have a real big drop. You're gonna find it really hard, and you'll be overstimulated by something, and you will just need that to just function. Yeah, going that full cold turkey can be really hard. You need an immense amount of willpower, power, inner strength, yeah, and a good attitude. Attitude is key. If you're going to quit something, if you turn into a miserable person and you're horrible to be around, that's your fault. You have control over that. Yeah, that's you. You are your attitude. So you recalibrate yourself and you go, no, I won't let this control me anymore. I won't let this make me a miserable person because I'm not doing it. That's patterns and things that are controlling me, and I'm in control. I'm in control of myself. I love myself. I'm worth it. I deserve it. You have to tell yourself these things all the time. Encourage yourself, but you must have purpose. So having a purpose is fundamental in sustainability of quitting any addiction. Having clarity in your identity of who you truly are is fundamental. If you can get these 2 things down, you're going to be on a very successful path for self-development, to love life, to live beautifully. And again, that's why I remind you, go check my book out, The Self, Who Am I? Yeah, go check it out and drop me feedback. Let me know if it helps you. Have a beautiful day. And Cool Beans, I hope this answered some of your questions. Drop a comment. Let me know. Did it stimulate something? Again, it's like every word's a pun when it comes to it. It's strange, isn't it? Stimulate something positive and mentally. It's constructive is what I mean. Yeah? Have a beautiful day and drop a comment. See you in the next video.